Hello and welcome to lesson 22. How do ethnic groups enrich the cultural life of the UK through food? And this is the final lesson in the topic, UK in the 21st century. The task in your assignment is the task at the bottom left of this slide. Explain one way that ethnic groups contribute to the cultural life of the UK. The word here, contribute, is the idea of giving. It's not so much about what the country, the UK, gives to other countries or gives to the world. This actually is the opposite way now. How do other cultures affect the life of the UK, the cultural life, how we live our lives in the UK? And this is a positive lesson. This is how do we gain from our immigrants, basically. So this slide helps us to think about the word culture. The word culture is used to describe the values, attitudes, behaviour and beliefs of a society or group of people. And it's about what makes a society distinctive. British society has a culture, and we have, even at assembly, we learn about British values. But the reality is that Britain has many subcultures. Every group of people has their own culture. Every family has a family culture, a family way of doing things. Every school has a school culture, a school ethos. So ethos, culture, they're sort of similar words. So culture includes attitudes, beliefs, behaviour, but it includes all these aspects, and culture is a fascinating part of geography. It's a fascinating part of human life and existence. And when we go to other countries, we experience their cultures, we experience language, faith, rituals, customs, all sorts of things. So this lesson is asking, well, how does our culture gain? And how is our culture enriched through our immigrants? This is going to focus on this aspect of culture, on the food aspect of culture, and really we're focusing just on that in this lesson. So that's how that idea of food and culture meet, and you can see it on this diagram. Well, if you think about British food from the 1950s, which you probably won't know too much about, although you might do. This is what Mr. Rolls produced. He said that British food was noted for its heavy and stodgy features, and there was an overemphasis on fried and baked cooking. And here we've got our Cornish pasties, fish and chips, bangers and mash, shepherd's pie. That's a roast, and that is good old English breakfast with special amounts of black pudding. I was going to say blood pudding because actually it is blood pudding. Anyway, all tasty stuff except for that bit there. It depends on how you like your cooked breakfast. So our food, if you like, there's a certain way that we used to eat in this country. You remember from our lesson on population change, which was lesson 18, was that in 1948 we received our first empire, actually our first Commonwealth immigration wave from the West Indies and from South Asia. And it was at that moment that our British immigrants started to bring their foods with them, and different foods. And it's at that point that foods started to become more diversified. Here's a little chart through our immigration story. That in the 50s we had immigration, yes, from Italy, and then also from the Caribbean, and it grew. Basically, the Commonwealth countries brought their cultures with them. 70s we had lots of Chinese people coming to the country. 2004, Eastern European migration, for example, Polish people. 2007, Romanians and Bulgarians. So we've had, through the last 70 years, we've had different waves of immigration from different nationalities. And when these nationalities have come to the country, some of them have created restaurants and takeaway shops. And this has caused our food, our tastes to become very diverse. This is a nice pie chart about, well, I think this is a pizza chart about our most popular takeaway meals, and you can see how Chinese and Indian fish chips and pizza are our most popular takeaways, but obviously only one of those is British fish and chips. Pizza is Italian, we've got Indian, which really isn't just Indian, it's often Bangladeshi or Pakistani, and Chinese food. So really our immigrants have actually set up businesses, and then our tastes have become more diverse, and in this way the way that we live our lives, the way that we eat food, that being part of our culture, has actually changed over the last 70 years. So one example of this is the Balti Triangle, which is in the area of Spark Brook in Birmingham. I quite like this picture because I don't know if you know, these are samosas, spicy fried triangles. They can be vegetable samosas or lamb samosas. This Balti Triangle looks like a samosa, a spicy samosa of geography in Birmingham. Basically, video's not working too well. There we are. PowerPoint rather. We're going to have a look at the history of the Balti dish, and this is one short example of how you can say that in Birmingham, that area is where the Balti dish first started, and that has actually spread to the whole country. Started in our second largest city, brought in by immigrants from Kashmir and Pakistan. That's the northern part of Pakistan in the mountains, in the Himalayas. And they've brought this dish in. In fact, it was first created in Birmingham. It's definitely, because of its spread throughout the whole country, it has definitely enriched the cultural life in some ways through food.
"20 years ago, I lived in Birmingham for a year. During my time there, every Friday night was Balti night. It may come as a surprise, but Balti is one of the great British regional foods. It's a creation of the Pakistani Kashmiri community in the Spark Brook area of Birmingham, an area that's now become known as the Balti Triangle. Now I'm revisiting the city to find out more about the history of this wonderful dish and how to make it properly.
Well, this is the oldest spice shop on the Ladypool Road, and it's a great place to buy spices from. A lot of restaurateurs do. And in a typical Balti, you'll have certain base spices. And so you've got turmeric, cumin, paprika, strange enough, okay.
Which is an unusual one. You would never think, because paprika you always associate with Spanish cooking or...
Well, that perhaps shows a Western influence, and it is actually, you know, a fusion dish, as opposed to a Pakistani one. Now, all those things will basically go into to the basis of the Balti. Then each chef will add their own sort of spices. You know, everybody
So
differs.
even in the space of the Ladypool Road, it could be totally different.
Which is great, really, because Balti is a style of cooking, but the fact that each restaurant's different in taste is what makes it so special.
Fantastic.
Roger Brothers stores opened about the same time as the first Baltis were being made in Birmingham, and most of the local restaurateurs still buy their spices here.
Okay, so Andy, where are we now? Where have you brought me?
Well, this is Uncle's, and this place really sells the authentic Balti bowls. And the story goes that a restaurateur who first introduced Balti into the area when it first started went to a factory in Birmingham, met a guy called Tara Singh, who unfortunately is no longer with us, and said, "I want a bowl specially made so I can fast cook." and this is what you've got, which is made from pressed steel.
Pressed steel, right.
It's very thin, which means you can cook very quickly over a high flame. Heats up very quickly, and you can see it's a bit like a Chinese wok, but it's flat bottomed.
Okay.
And although some of them used today haven't got a flat bottom, this is what the original one looked like.
Right.
With a flat bottom.
And you think that if you've got to serve it this way to bring it to the table?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, some places, without being too snobbish about it, you
Be as snobbish as you like.
You can cook a Balti and transfer it into a bowl, but to me, in terms of retaining the authentic flavours,
The flavours it's got from cooking?
yeah, you want it kept in the bowl it's cooked.
By 1977, curries were big business, but restaurateur Mohammed Arif wanted something new and exciting for his customers. He wanted a dish that could be cooked to order and served quickly, and that would appeal to Western tastes. He began making a freshly prepared curry, cooked in a metal bowl over a hot flame, and the Balti was born. Named after the Balti bowl was cooked and served in, it retained all the flavours and kept the dish hot. Everyone began to see the potential, and by the 90s, there were over 50 restaurants nearby serving them, and the area became known as the Balti Triangle. Today, the dish is a staple of curry house menus across the UK.
Hi there, you must be Mohammed.
Oh, yes, I'm.
Hi, mate.
Yes.
How do you do?
Nice to see you, yeah?
I hear you invented Balti.
We did, yeah, in UK, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
What did
yeah.
Balti actually mean?
Is bucket, you know?
Bucket.
It's bucket, actually. Yeah.
So you have a bucket curry?
No, but...
Doesn't sound as good in English.
No, but bucket, we can't say the bucket, but we say Balti.
Yeah.
Balti is different, yeah.
Well, can we go and have a look, see how it's made?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Thank you.
Show me where it is.
Yes, is my chef, Zulfi.
Zufi,
Yes,
pleased to
his
meet
name
you.
is Zulfi.
You're right. Good to meet you.
Okay, thanks.
So we're going to make Balti.
Yeah, okay.
Is it very easy to make?
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to know it.
Yeah.
because
Well, you should be used to it. You're a Balti chef.
7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
The Balti is made fresh. Zufi first adds oil, then green chilies, before throwing in some tomatoes to give the dish some juiciness. Then comes the ginger and garlic paste,
Ginger and garlic, yeah.
followed by some peppers. The meat comes next, and I've gone for chicken tikka. That gets cooked through before we add the spices. And what an array we have. Chili powder, crushed chilies, tandoori masala, garam masala. It's a masala fest in a pan. And next up, a bit of fenugreek leaf, and then a special secret sauce.
Special sauce.
So you're going to show me the secret?
I can't tell.
Oh, that's what we're here for. The special secret for the sauce. Otherwise we can't make it at home.
No, we can't tell that one.
You'll go out of business. When you started making Baltis, was the business kind of
getting better.
big? It was kind of it was kind of a new thing.
Especially 80, in 1980, you know, we are doing very good.
Yeah.
Very popular.
Yeah. So is that finished now?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
Or should we have a taste?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
So here we have our naan and our Balti. Let me taste the sauce. It's got a heat to it. Do you like it really hot? Do you call that hot or do you call that mild?
Hot.
Hot. Good. I'm glad you do, because I thought it was a bit hot.
This is hot, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
showing
you,
me.
you're welcome, yeah?
Cheers.
And I hope you can bring your staff here as well.
I will. I'll bring everyone I know.